Then is revealed in man the over divine, a static oneness and dynamic power. Descend in him the integral Godhead seal, his soul and body. Take that splendid stamp, a long, dim preparation in man's life, a circle of toil and hope and war and peace, tracked out by life on matter's obscure ground.
Well, matter is obscure because it is not conscious.
Okay.
Consciousness has to be put into matter by the supramental
Mm-hmm.
force. But matter can become conscious in man also, because you see basically what Sri Aurobindo is telling us here, and my thing is blinking like anything. He
Mm-hmm.
says that when the overt, this outward divine, is revealed to man,
Mm-hmm.
then a static oneness and this dynamic power, both of those things, the oneness, the experience of the oneness, and the experience of the dynamic power descend in man. And they are the integral Godhead's seals.
Okay.
So we see that man's soul and body
Mm-hmm.
then take that splendid stamp. Stamp here is impression.
Impression, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Stamp means impression.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes on to tell us that our life, man's life, is a long, dim preparation. And what is that dim preparation? It's a circle of toil and hope and war and peace. All of these things.
In his climb to a peak no feet had have ever trod, he seeks through a penumbra shot with flame, a veiled reality half known, ever missed, a search for something or someone never found, cult of an ideal never made real here, an endless spiral of ascent and fall, until at last it's reached the giant point through which his glory shines from whom we were made, and we break into the infinity of God.
Well read. There's only one word: trod. Trod.
Trod, okay,
Trod means walked upon.
trod, walked upon.
I trod the Pilgrim's Way in England, and it was very beautiful. I walked all along and I saw the little villages and the beautiful landscape, and it was a wonderful experience. I'm afraid my computer's going to go off again, so
Oh,
let's see how far we can get. So, in
okay.
his climb, in man's climb to this peak that no
Uh-huh.
feet have ever trod, what does he do? He seeks through a penumbra, that is a kind of shadow, the penumbra around the sun we see at times. Oh, I lost it again.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so he seeks with this penumbra. I'm going to
Uh-huh.
get my Savitri book out now so I
Okay.
can read from the text, and that will be a little easier. That was 24, was it?
Yes, yes, page
Yes.
24.
Okay. So in his climb, he's
Uh-huh.
climbing to a peak that no feet of humanity have ever trod, walked upon. He
Okay.
seeks through a penumbra, that shadow that is shot with flame. Sometimes we see that penumbra around the sun or around the
Uh-huh.
moon. And he seeks through a penumbra shot with flame. What does he seek? A veiled reality. That
Uh-huh.
reality is half known. It is even ever missed. But he searches for something or someone never found. Well, this is so poignant, this line, because, everyone says, well, the Muslims say Allah is great.
Uh-huh.
But last night in our Life Divine class, Ranganathan says, you limit him when you say he's great, because he can be small also.
Mm.
Interesting, because he is everything. So why
Mhm.
should he just be great?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then the Christians say the same thing. So
Mm.
he's looking for this veiled reality that's only half known and it's
Mm.
usually missed. But
Okay.
he's searching for something or someone never found. It may be a cult of an ideal that was never made real here. It may be an endless, and usually is an endless spiral of ascent and fall. Now, this is an interesting line also because when we think of a spiral, we always think of it moving somehow, usually
Mm-hmm.
upward. But we could fall on that spiral also into darkness.
Mm.
So it's an endless spiral of ascent and fall until, and this is very important, until at last is reached the giant point through which his glory, the divine's glory,
Mm.
shines for whom we were made, and we break into the infinity of God. Oh,
Mm.
so beautiful. Now
Yep.
he's going to go on a little bit, and so we can do that also. I don't have any TV, but at least I can hear you and you can hear me.
Yeah,
Good.
I can hear you. Okay. Across our nature's borderline, we escape into supernature's arc of living light.
So
That's the full
those
stop.
two lines are really more applicable to Ashwapati or Sri Aurobindo
Mm-hmm.
because for us to escape into supernature's arc of living light would be a tremendous progress.
Right,
And
right.
now he's going to tell us in the next line who it was about.
Okay. This now was witnessed in that son of force, in him that high transition laid its base, original and supernal immanence, of which all nature's process is the art. The cosmic worker set his secret hand to turn this frail mud engine to heaven use. Wow.
Yes, very, very beautiful. And very gives us great hope, doesn't it?
Yep.
So now he's speaking of Ashwapati or himself.
Uh,
This now was witnessed in that son of force. In him, that high transition laid its base.
yes.
So this transition from the human to the superhuman to
Uh-huh.
even the supernature laid its base in Ashwapati.
Right.
And then Sri Aurobindo speaks of the original and supernal immanence. Supernal is also a synonym for heavenly.
Uh-huh.
Original and supernal immanence, of which all nature's process is the art. Because how can nature have a process that is not the art of the work of heaven? You see,
Okay.
heaven is behind everything. The divine is behind everything. He is in us. He is in the stone. And so,
Right.
original and supernal immanence, of which all nature's process is the art, the cosmic worker, that's the divine, he calls him here the cosmic worker, set his secret hand to turn this frail mud engine to heaven use. Now, in poetry, poets often use the word clay or mud
Uh-huh.
for humanity.
Right, right. Yeah.
We're built of clay or we're built of mud. So here it's a mud engine because
Mm-hmm.
it's a living engine. So
Right.
it's a mud engine. And the divine, this cosmic worker, has set his hand. That means he is determined. If you set your hand to something, it means you're determined to do it.
Okay. Such a secret hand. Yep. Okay.
And so, what has he set his hand to do? To turn this frail mud engine to heaven use.
Use. Wow.
So, we can go on a little bit more.
Sure. A presence wrought behind the ambiguous screen. It beat his soil to bear a titan's weight, refining half-hewn blocks of natural strength. It built his soul into a statued god.
You can see Sri Aurobindo speaking here autobiographically. A presence wrought, that means worked, behind
Okay.
the ambiguous screen. Something ambiguous that's not clear. You
Yeah.
say that line is ambiguous to me.
Mhm.
But this presence is working behind this ambiguous screen. And it beat his soil, once again, speaking of man as earth or mud or
Mhm.
clay, it beat his soil to bear a titan's weight.
Mhm.
So the titan we know, we've talked about him before. He's a huge, huge being, but he wants to control the world through power and not love. And
Oh.
Sri Aurobindo is just telling us here that this presence that has worked behind this hidden, ambiguous screen has beat his soil to bear a titan's weight.
Mhm.
Then he says, well, that's the period, right?
No, there's a comma after titan weight.
Refining half-hewn blocks of natural strength. Again, such a poetic line.
Mhm.
Refining these half-hewn blocks of natural strength. Well, we have natural strength in our arms, in our legs, in our feet, in our hands. We have natural strength in our mind to some extent. In our vital, we're able to endure things. We're
Mhm.
able to survive things. We're able to adapt to things. We have natural strength, and these half-hewn blocks of natural strength, this divine presence is refining. And when it has refined it, it has built his soul into a statued God. That's the soul of Ashwapati, and that is Sri Aurobindo. So
Okay.
we'll continue on a little bit.
Sure. The craftsman of the magic stuff of self, who labors at his high and difficult plan in the wide workshop of the wonderful world, modeled in inward time, his rhythmic parts.
Rhythm, rhythmic. People do say rhythmic, but it's not rhythmic, it's rhythmic.
Rhythmic. Okay.
Rhythmic, rhythmic.
Rhythmic. Okay. Rhythmic.
Good. So
Rhythmic.
you see, he has written here about the cosmic worker, the presence, and now he calls him the craftsman. So it's always
Uh-huh.
the divine that he's speaking of. The craftsman of this magic stuff of self. And this craftsman labors at his high and difficult plan. We look back a little bit and we see that it beat his soil to bear a Titan's weight. We see that he has refined half-hewn blocks of natural strength. We see that he has built his soul into a statue of God. So this is all the work of the divine, the craftsman
Right.
of the magic stuff of self. And what does this craftsman do? Well, he labors. So he works at. What does he work at? His high and difficult plan. And where is he working? He's working in the wide workshop of the wonderful world. Oh, what a line. In the wide
Yeah.
workshop, look at the alliteration here. Wide
Yes.
workshop, wonderful world. Four W's.
For W's. Yeah.
Incredible. So,
Yeah.
yes,
So, Narad sir, one question here.
surely,
So, the craftsman, is that the divine working in
yes,
this wonderful? Okay.
yes, it's the craftsman is always the divine,
Mm-hmm.
just as the cosmic worker is the divine.
Okay.
And the
Okay.
presence is the divine's presence.
Mm-hmm.
So, what did he do then? He modeled in inward time Ashwapati's rhythmic parts. These rhythmic parts of, we all have rhythm in us. We have rhythm when we move our bodies. We have rhythm when we walk, when we run,
Mm-hmm.
when we rest. There's always rhythm. The heart is always beating. So
Mm-hmm.
he modeled in inward time, not outward time, but inward time, his rhythmic parts.
So, inward, where is it sort of? I mean, how is it different from outward in this context, modeled in inward time?
Well, if we look at it, uh, we can see that the sculptor can model a figure
Mm-hmm.
like Michelangelo. He can
Yeah.
model, but it's in outward time. It's in in our time, our daily time. But in
Right. Right.
inward time, he's working within Ashwapati,
Oh.
and he's modeling within Ashwapati his rhythmic parts. And now, as a result, we're going to see what happens.
Okay. Then came the abrupt, transcendent miracle, the massed, immaculate grandeur could outline at travail in
No,
the
at travail.
at
Travail
travail.
is a kind of labor.
Okay.
The hard travail is hard labor.
Oh, labor. Okay. At travail in the occult womb of life is dreamed magnificence of things to be.
Okay, so now we have another name for the divine. He calls him the immaculate grandeur.
Hmm.
Extraordinary.
Right.
So we've been through some lines and we see how beautifully Sri Aurobindo is leading us so carefully. We began with a long, dim preparation as man's life, and,
Mm-hmm.
and man's life is this circle of toil and hope and war, of course,
And
and
peace.
peace. And then we see that man is seeking for something, but
Mm.
he has to search for it. And it's something, or it's someone that's never found. It could be a cult of an ideal that was never made real here. And it's an endless spiral. That spiral doesn't end at all. It's a spiral of success and fall until at last is reached that giant point when the glory of the divine shines through us, because that's why he made us, so that
Mm-hmm.
it could shine through us. And therefore, we are able to break into the infinity of God. Now, then we see that across our nature's borderline, we can escape. We can escape from this limiting nature that we have. Yes, man can run under 10 seconds, 100 yards, 100 meters, but
Mm-hmm.
he can't run under 8 seconds, 100 meters. It's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
One day it may be possible, but I doubt it in this human form. Mother spoke of these. Oh, I think Shraddhalu talked about it. The gymnasts who you can't even tell the bodies anymore. So because
Mm-hmm.
from male to female, and so
Right, right. Yeah.
this now was witnessed in Ashwapati, and that
Mm-hmm.
high transition, the transition from man to Superman, laid its base. And so this original and supernal, original and heavenly immanence. The heavenly immanence is again the divine. So we have another reference to the divine, of which
Mm-hmm.
all nature's process is the art. Then what happened? Well, the cosmic worker set his secret hand to do what? To turn this frail mud engine to heaven use. So the divine wants us to become heavenly and work
Mm-hmm.
for heavenly things, greater beauty, greater art, greater love, greater consciousness. And so we see that a presence in Ashwapati was working behind the ambiguous screen. And what did it do, this presence? It beat Ashwapati's soil to be able to bear a titan's weight. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And it refined these half-hewn aspects of natural strength, and it built his soul into a statued God. So this craftsman, the divine again, of the
Mm-hmm.
magic stuff of self, who works, who labors at his high and difficult plan in the wide workshop of the wonderful world, modeled in inward time his rhythmic parts. Whose rhythmic parts? Ashwapati's.
Ashwapati's. Mm-hmm.
Then what happened? Then came the abrupt, transcendent miracle. This masked, immaculate grandeur. Well, the divine is often masked because if he looked at us in his full strength, we would just dissolve.
Right.
We couldn't bear it. So the
Mm-hmm.
masked, immaculate grandeur could outline in Ashwapati
Mm-hmm.
that travail in the occult womb of life, what? His dreamed magnificence of things to be. And a crown, the architecture of the worlds, the mystery of married earth and heaven, and its divinity to the mortal scheme. And we'll end there for today.
Sure.
Wonderful journey we're taking.
But
All
thank you
right.
so much, Narad sir.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.
Namaste.
Namaste.